All right, I think we are live now. Welcome everybody who is viewing this video. I see Shelly in the chat here. So hello, Shelly. My name is Jared, and I am not Miss Richard. Let me change my banner here. I am Jared. I am one of the leaders for GEG South Carolina, and we are here to present Getting Hyped with Hyperdocs with Miss Amber Richard, and we're very excited. In fact, Miss Amber Richard is sitting right here next to me because she was having some internet issues at her own house, so luckily she didn't live too far away, and she can come and join us here live. So, without further ado, before I say that, I should say make sure you follow us on social media. Follow us on Twitter. Go to our website. Join our Google group. If you're not an active member, we would love to have anybody for GEG South Carolina. We are in the growing phases of it, and so by the end of the month, we'll have an official kickoff and a launch. And we hope to do a lot of great things for teachers across South Carolina and, you know, across all the Southeast and further out for whoever wants to join in. I know I belong to a bunch of other GEGs in other states. So I encourage everybody to find a GEG, follow a GEG, and get involved. So again, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Amber. So Amber, take it away. Tell us about yourself.
Guys. So let me stop sharing the screen for a minute. My name is Amber Richard. I used to work with Jared last year at Carolina Springs Middle School, not elementary. I'm an elementary major, but I work at Carolina Springs Middle School. This is my second year teaching, about to go on to my third. When Jared was there at the school as my DLC, he worked with me in science for 6th grade. And then this year I did 6th grade ELA under a new DLC, but I learned a lot of things when I was working with Jared, and I'm excited to show some things to you. So without further ado, let's talk about what we're doing today. So I want to talk to you about what a Hyperdoc is. I want to tell you how I use them, and I'm going to be honest with you and tell you some of my great successes and even some of my failures that I had to learn from along the way. So let's start with what a Hyperdoc is. And forgive me if you see me look down. I like to take notes because I'm not that best of a public speaker on a recorded camera. So bear with me. It's my first time. A Hyperdoc is usually a Google Doc or Google Slides where you can insert a bunch of hyperlinks into it. And those hyperlinks can bring in all kinds of multimedia resources in one place. It's easy for students to use and easy for you to collect some formative data. It can be used for scaffolding some instruction, getting some student communication going, heightening their interest in lessons and assignment, and allowing them to explore their own topics and things that you want them to teach on their time. So what I use them for, let's start there. It's definitely a good tool to collect a lot of formative data. It helps you to see their work in real time, especially if you're putting these Hyperdocs in Google Classroom like I do. That's my favorite tool to use for my students. If you hit the make a copy for each student option, you can go in real time and see them typing. You can see their work. You can give them individualized feedback, which I absolutely love. I'm all about the feedback. So it's great for data and feedback for them. Also, when I'm seeing their results and their learning in real time, it allows me to see, one, what kind of things they're really good at and things they understand, and two, some things that they're struggling on, because in ELA, we love to pull small groups. That's all Lucy Calkins' workshop. So I'm going to pull those small groups based off of things on the Hyperdoc that I see that they need some extra assistance with. I'm also able to directly give them feedback in real time. I can go into their Hyperdoc and I can type exactly where they are to answer some questions. I can even use Screencastify and other resources to put videos of individualized feedback. That way it's all private for the student to see what things they're doing really good at and some ways that I can help them improve and better their learning. I also like to use it for letting them exploring their own topics at their own pace and their own learning, because we all know the age is gone where you stand in front of the board and you teach for 30 minutes and then they take notes and class is over. It's all about letting them explore on their own, figuring out things at their own pace. So that is the best thing and most interesting for these kids. It's something that they get to click on and interact with and ask you questions in real time and get feedback. So it's just a wonderful resource to use and to have for really any subject. So I want to show you an example or two, and Jared actually is going to share these links with you guys as a view only so that you can look at them and kind of use them if you would like to for your classroom and edit them to your teaching style and learning style for your kiddos. But I want to show you a couple examples of mine. So one of the links, let me pull this up, that I wanted to share with you that he's going to send out is something that we did over.
It's actually, all the Hyperdocs are listed in the description of the video. And so if for whatever reason you can't open one, let us know and we can fix the share settings.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Perfect. All right, so let us know. But one of the things I want to talk to you about or show you is this is actually a Hyperdoc that we use for ELA this year, still following Lucy Calkins' expectations of mini lesson and kind of workshop and individualized work by creating an outline on Google Docs that helped our students. So at the top, I gave them some information about where to look, how to contact me. And if you notice, this is what their Hyperdoc looked like. And like I said, this is on Google Docs. It's a way to bring all these multimedia things to one place. So we have the date. So on Wednesday, 4/15, when my kiddos logged on for online learning in April, they found this date. They had their learning target here that told them what they were going to be learning for the day. And then I gave them some instructions. Now, the instructions can be as detailed or as simple as you want. We really wanted ours to be detailed since we weren't in person with the kids so that they could kind of easily go through this. So I told them what we were doing for the day, and then I gave them some instructions. So there's some things in here like Hyperdocs. There's directions. There's anchor charts. We even gave them some troubleshooting tips if they were having technology troubles. But we made an entire Hyperdoc with all these links for their reading unit, their fantasy book club unit for 6th grade in this Hyperdoc so they could scroll through every day and have easy access to standards, directions, links, and even at the bottom, I chose to put in some differentiation of learning. So if the students couldn't just click through the little mini lesson session slides that we had, they had a choice to click and listen to either me or Miss Walden, the other 6th grade ELA teacher, voice over it using Screencastify. So they had two options. Then we also tried to put some accommodations in there. Like if the work was too overloading for them, how can we make it simpler? So I tried to put some of those supports at the bottom that they might need. And we also stuck the standards at the bottom. So one of the things in this outline is going from a Google Doc outline to another multimedia resource. So we put in here a fantasy Hyperdoc. So I'm going to close out of this and I'm going to show you what that little Hyperdoc looks like. Get that pulled up. All right, so when the students came here, of course, our session slides, if you've done Lucy Calkins, you know everything is by sessions for ELA. We came here, and the students were doing a fantasy book club, like I said. So this takes them from the Google Docs to another Hyperdoc using Google Slides. So they could come here and they could listen and click on these videos that gave them the other ELA teacher and I reading the backs of the books so they knew what the books were about so that they could choose their book. And then we had some general directions here. That was like a little Google Doc that told them, here's what we're doing in this unit. Here's what I expect for you to do during this unit and some things you can expect me to do with feedback and other ways to help you. And then they could move on. So like I said, if they were a student that could just click through the session 1 slides pretty easily and didn't need extra explanation, that was there. Or they could watch the session 1 videos of us teaching it in person so that they could get that one-on-one kind of extra assistance and learning. After they listened to or read through the slides, they would come and click here for their reading goals, and it told them what pages to read. And then this is the neat part. So over here, like we had Gregor the Overlander for one of their books. If I clicked here for reading goal and I saw that today for 4:15, I'm supposed to read Gregor the Overlander pages 1 through 15. If they came and clicked right here, it took them straight to an audio file so that they could listen to pages 1 through 15. So we have audio, we have videos, we have Google Docs, we have all kinds of things in one location that's easy for students to get to, and that's the best thing about Hyperdocs. I want to show you one more. that's also linked to you. This one we used in our reading unit. It was about activists, and the kids were researching different activists and taking notes and learning those good note-taking strategies. So I wanted to show you first what these little colored dots mean. So when the kids had did a reading workshop, small group type thing before with book clubs, they had their book names. So if they were in Zombie Baseball Beatdown group, their color was yellow. So what I would do each day is put this little Hyperdoc on the board, and the kids would also have this link to their Google Classroom. And if they were yellow, Zombie Baseball Beatdown, they knew that today, okay, here's yellow. I'm looking up Marley Diaz. I'm going to watch this video, read these 2 articles that are linked here, and I'm going to take notes. Then the next day, we would just kind of, as teachers, move the dots over. So I would take this dot and move it here. This dot goes here. So we rotated it each day so that the kids knew what person to research, how to use it. And like I said, everything's in one place for them. The videos, the articles, everything they need. So it makes it really simple for them to use. All right, and then my last 2 things, like I said, I'm going to be completely honest with you. There's so many successes I've had with this. You can tell I love to use them any way that I can, but I also have had some failures that I've had to learn from that I want to share with you. So I guess we'll start with the successes first. So one of my successes is that they're able to learn it at their own pace, especially like for science, for example. If I assign them something, because science standards tend to kind of repeat sometimes throughout the years, if I gave them something on the Hyperdoc and they were like, oh, Miss Richard, I already know what that is, they could look at it for review, but breeze on past it to the next thing that they needed help on. And that allowed them to take charge of their learning, and it kind of saves me the time from standing or doing a lesson for a day or 2 that my kids already know. It's a waste of time for them and me if they already know it. I'd rather do a quick review and move to something new for them. So it kind of helps me gauge that, and it helps them take control of their learning. It also allows them to work at their own pace, and it allows me to pull small groups. So I can trust that while I'm pulling a small group on things that I see from the Hyperdoc in real time that they need help on, they're occupied doing the work on the Hyperdoc at the same time. So I can easily pull things and not have to be constantly watching what they're doing. I know what they're doing. I can see it in real time while I work with my small group. Another thing that was really successful is that there's a lot of resources you can use. So some things that we've put in Hyperdocs before. We've done Google Docs. We've done Google Slides. You can link things like fun escape rooms that you can create on Google Forms that we've linked in there. You can do YouTube videos. You can do practice and review. You can even put links in there to Flipgrid so that if they're reading their book club books and I tell them, hey, I want you to have a discussion with some other kids and other class periods that are reading the same book as you, they can go straight there. Everything's in one place for them to get to. So that was really awesome for them. They didn't have to search and seizure to find something. And another thing that's a success for me is if you would like to do something in a chart format, kind of like I did with that April eLearning outline where we had the date and the learning target, the instructions, and the links, you can do something similar to that with a broad topic. So a 6th grade science standard is weather. So let's talk about the atmosphere. I want them to research each layer of the atmosphere, the mesosphere, the troposphere, all of that. So I might give them a standard easily on the side. You can put those standards visible in the chart. I might give them some videos or links or me doing a quick mini lesson. Or the best part, guys, you can even record yourself giving some directions. So that saves you from repeating it all day long. They can go in there and click those directions and listen to them anytime they need to hear you say it again. So they can look at all those things. They can research on their own time while I help other kids or pull small groups. And then you can do a box where either you ask them a question and they respond to that certain question, or you can leave that box empty for them just to show what they learned. They can type down things that they learned, things they knew or didn't know or want to know, some questions that maybe y'all can do as a class research project. So it's really awesome to do that and see their responses. Now, my last thing to talk to you about, I said I was going to be honest. There's definitely some failures that I faced that I had to learn from. One, make sure that your links are approved by the district. You can find a super awesome video and post it in there and think you're going to rock it. And the kids click on it and they're going, Miss Richard, I can't see it. I can't see it. Okay. I had to learn from that. So make sure things are approved if you're going to link YouTube videos or other things in there that they can actually access those videos.
Yeah, who has had those problems before?
Nobody, right?
Yeah.
Nobody. And so you just want to be prepared. Be prepared. And then another thing is, if you want to see individualized responses, so that last thing I was talking about where you might want them to share a blurb of what they learned or answer a question, you want to make sure that you've hit in Google Classroom, if you're going to put it there, make a copy for each student. Excuse us, guys. Make a copy.
This is why we are outside, because I have 3 kids and they are losing their minds.
But you want to hit make a copy for each student, because if you don't and you just upload it that way, all 30 of your kiddos are going to be typing in the same place, and it's really hard to figure out who said what. So make sure you hit make a copy so that it's individualized for you to see that one student's responses and turn it in if you want them to, and to quickly give feedback on their answer so you know who the response came from. I think only have one more failure that I really had. Make sure you check the viewing and editing rights. If you upload something that you spent a long time on and you just want it as resources for the kids to click on, make sure you don't put it as edit, because they will go in and they will change the font sizes and move things around and put cutesy little meme pictures in there. So make sure if it's something you don't want them to edit and you just want them to be able to click links and look at articles or videos, make sure you turn the editing rights off when you share it with them. Get that shareable link that's view only. If you put something in there like individualized work where you say, hey, go ahead and type your response, make sure the editing is on, because if it's on viewing, they can't. So make sure you check those rights. Oh, and the last thing, plan ahead for technology failures. If a kid doesn't have their Chromebook or their iPad or whatever they're using, how are you going to get that kid on your Hyperdoc? Are you going to let them share with somebody? Do you have extra devices you might want to have in your classroom that day to ensure every kid has access? Or are you going to have a backup plan of a paper copy or something? So have a backup plan just in case those technology issues come up, because sometimes they do. And that is it.
Well, we did have a question that came up early on. Shelly was asking, she teaches everything, she's in a charter school, teaches everything from pre-K to 12th grade. And she says that these seem very time-consuming to create. Can you tell us about how long it takes you to create them? What other resources are out there? Because there are a ton of resources out there. In the chat, I did put the official, I guess, the Hyperdoc ladies, the ones that really coined the phrase. Their website has got some great resources and some free ones out there. But you can find some pre-made ones there, or you can be adventurous and create your own. But just speak to, like, how long did it take you to create some of these?
Okay, so for example, the outline that we did for the kids for online learning. So I teach with another teacher, and I'm sure as a teacher you team and you plan with other subjects in your area and other teachers, and we kind of share the responsibility together. So one of us did the responsibility of the standards, one did the responsibility of the instructions. Now, some of the links we already had. We downloaded for free and we stuck them in there. And then there were some that I just thought, you know, my kids would benefit from this, and I made it myself. All in all, something like that maybe takes an hour or two if you sit down and knock it out straight and you want something new, or you can work on it over a little bit at a time. But really, Hyperdocs, you don't have to use them for every single lesson, but it is a quick and easy way for the kids to be engaged. And if you want something new that you can count on to use for years on, or you just want to update a paper copy of something into a Hyperdoc, just take the time to do it. Maybe an hour of your time is what it's going to take, and that's easy to knock out when you have other teachers that help you, which I did.
Very good, very good. Yeah, if you can work with somebody to team up, it takes
lessen
a lot
the load.
Yeah. And two, you know, and the good thing is, I don't know if you mentioned it because I was reading some of the questions. Once you have it created, you can reuse it. So the cool thing is you can go back in and recheck the links. There's a teacher I worked with a couple years ago that we created a Hyperdoc on ancient Greece, and she is still using it to this day. She just goes in, makes some modifications, changes some links, and then she just has it there in her toolkit to keep going. Shelly, you asked, how do you see it in real time?
So I use mine in Google Classroom. So when I assign things, like especially like make a copy for each student, that option I was talking about, I can pull up their Google Classroom assignment on my end and click on their name, and it actually shows them typing in the Hyperdoc. So if I'm like, oh, whoa, we're on the wrong track, I can quickly go in there and say, hey, hold on now, you know, and fix it immediately, give them that immediate feedback. So that way they're like, oh, okay, and they can fix it. Or if you just want to see is so-and-so working while I'm doing my small group, or are they playing games? You can pull it up and see if they're actually working or on that document. It'll show their picture in the corner, and they'll also see your picture when you click on it, so they know that you're looking. So you can see it in real time like that, at least through Google Classroom from what I've found.
Any other questions that you guys have about Hyperdocs? You can, 8th grade math, I had a teacher that had one. It was one that she found on the internet. There was a refrigerator magnet, and it was a drop and drag activity. So on a Chromebook or an iPad, the students can create, I think it was equations, if I'm not mistaken, where they could drop and drag and create equations, solve them, and then they were putting it on their whiteboard. She'd come by and check. And then, so you can make it interactive just all on the computer, or it can make it interactive where they're in stations, or doing some things on paper, some things digitally as you walk around the room and see what's happening. Let's see. Stephanie asks, or says that we used a week at a glance, similar to during e-learning, including our links to Zoom video. So you're used a week at a glance, similar to what they're doing in e-learning, including links to our Zoom. So yeah, so that is a Hyperdoc.
Yes.
So yeah, Stephanie, you're right. That's a Hyperdoc. It's a very basic Hyperdoc. You can make a Hyperdoc as basic as you want,
or as extravagant,
or as extravagant as you want. So it could just be links to what's happening this week, little things like that, or you can make it into a board game. You can add GIFs. So if you're using Google Slides, you can add GIFs and add little animations, and you can make it as crazy looking as you want, or very basic. It's just kind of up to you and how you want to do it and how much time you have.
Yeah. Because
sometimes you just don't have a lot of time. But kind of why we're doing this now, to kind of get the word out there, kind of get you planning. And, and 2, don't hesitate to reach out to Amber or anybody in the South Carolina GEG group. If you are in the group, if you haven't joined the group yet, please join the group. But in the group, you can ask a question. Hey, can somebody help me with some Hyperdocs? We have a growing community that'll be willing to help you. Amber's here to help. She's just recently a Google Certified Educator Level 2.
Yes,
right?
Our school, so Carolina Springs Middle School, wanted all of us to get at least a level from where we were, which I didn't have one. So right during the teacher work days on my birthday, actually, I got level 1 certified back in August. And then recently, due to all the online learning, it's just a great tool to have. So I got level 2 certified, still going. So it's a great tool.
And you want to be trainer too,
yes,
right?
Moving on up in the world.
So some competition out there. Nah, just kidding. It's always good to have more trainers. Any other questions out there before we wrap it up? Any questions, experiences? I know Shelly said you've never used one before, but you're looking to do it. Stephanie, how about you? What have you had any other experiences with Hyperdocs? I'm just trying to check the comments here. But lots of use with Hyperdocs that are out there. You can put Hyperdocs in pretty much any subject. Math, like I said, math does a lot of good stuff where you have the Hyperdoc where they might be doing some kind of manipulative and then providing an answer on paper on a whiteboard so you can see their work. Because I know math teachers are really big on showing that work. And so that's a good one. Social studies, I love making them for social studies. Those are fun. And then 2, the book one that you created, that actually had the audio book part.
Yeah, right? That had the audio linked into it, yeah.
Yeah, you may have said that, and I just kind of...
I don't know, I talk fast, so I might not know. Yes, they were linked in there. So anytime they clicked on the cover of the book on that Hyperdoc, it took them straight to a Google file with the audio.
Good. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in. So we will go ahead and end this broadcast. But again, if you're exploring Hyperdocs and you're looking for more resources, or if you want help, please reach out to Amber or myself. This is my personal Twitter handle. And then we also have the South Carolina one, and then Amber's is right there. And of course, join our GEG, our GAG is what you call it. And then of course, add questions. Like I said, we're growing. We want to add a resource bank. We want to kind of start creating some cool stuff for educators out there. And now that school's over, at least for most people, now's the time to start thinking about, what the fall might look like. And it's also very scary too. We don't know what the fall might look like.
No.
But any virtual or online experiences that you can build just might be very helpful come August and September.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Stephanie is saying, I'm shaking my head at the computer like y'all can see me. Hashtag too many Zooms. You got that right. I miss real people.
Yes.
I miss seeing people. Zooms are cool. They were cool in the beginning, but yeah, you kind of get.
And we use Google Meet. We didn't use Zoom.
Yeah.
At our school, so.
Depending on what you had, Google Meet and Zoom. Meet and Zooms. Oh, and of course, my phone, being a Google phone, is now opening Google Meet and Google Zoom on me. Ay. All right, well, thank you everybody who watched us live, and thank you to anybody who's watching this on the recorded broadcast. I am Jared for South Carolina Google Educator Group, and this is Amber Richard, the super fantastic 6th grade ELA, maybe science again, teacher. And we will catch you on another one. And so thank you. Be on the lookout in your email. I will send you a form on just asking what you thought, any feedback, things like that. And we got a prize coming at you. So be looking for your email or on Twitter, and I'll be letting you know about that. So have a great day, everybody. Happy summer if you are out on summer vacation. And we will catch you on the next one.